What's the number one mistake rich people make before getting sued? I'll give you a hint. It's not what most people think. It's not a bad lawyer. It's not even a bad investment. It's waiting. They wait too long. They assume their wealth will always be protected, that their assets are safe because, well, nobody's suing them yet. But in my 34 years in the asset protection business and nearly 30 years setting up more Cook Islands trusts than anybody on the planet, I've seen the same painful scenario over and over again. Smart, successful people, doctors, entrepreneurs, real estate investors, even celebrities come to me after it's already too late and they say, I wish I had called you sooner. Let's make sure that you're not one of them. I'm the CEO of the Lawyers Limited Law Firm and Asset Protection Planners, where we help high net worth individuals, people like you, protect your homes, your businesses, your investments, and your legacy from lawsuits. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the single biggest mistake wealthy people make before getting sued and exactly what to do to avoid it. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button because every week we cover the best strategies for shielding assets from creditors, lawsuits, divorce, and financial predators. Let's get into it. Here's the problem. When you have money, it feels like you've already won. Your investments are up, you've got a thriving business, your house is paid off or close to it, and your lawyer says your insurance policy looks solid. But here's the truth most wealthy people don't realize. Having money makes you a target, and the more visible you are, the more properties in your name, the more cars, the more success you post on social media, the easier that you are to sue. In fact, according to the American Bar Association, the average American faces a 10% chance of being involved in a lawsuit in any given year. For high net worth individuals, it's closer to 1 in 3 over the course of a decade. And lawsuits aren't always fair. A judge can freeze your bank accounts even before you have a chance to defend yourself. A vindictive ex, a bitter business partner, or even a complete stranger can file a lawsuit that drags on for years. Just ask the Florida real estate developer who called me after a $4 million judgment. He had 4 properties free and clear. Well, not anymore. And he waited. That was the mistake. In my law firm, there's a saying, the best time to set up your asset protection plan was 5 years ago. The second best time, right now, especially if it's before something happens. Why? Because once a lawsuit's filed, the courts start looking at every move you make. Move your assets after a claim arises, and it could be deemed a fraudulent transfer. Now, to be fair, that's usually a civil matter, not a criminal one. So we can still usually protect you, but it's going to be more expensive and more scrutinized. So act early. Even if you're doing something perfectly legal, like setting up a Cook Islands trust, the court may claim you're trying to dodge creditors. But if your trust is already in place, if the assets have already been moved before any trouble arises, there's not much the courts can do. So that's really why timing is everything. Okay, so how do you get ahead of a lawsuit? One of the most powerful strategies is using a Cook Islands trust with a Cook Islands LLC inside of it. Now, here's how we structure it. We create a trust in the Cook Islands, a jurisdiction with the strongest asset protection laws on the planet. I have a lot of videos on the Cook Islands trust, so you can look at my channel, The Business Guy. And then we form a Cook Islands LLC that's owned by that trust. You're the initial manager of the LLC when the seas are calm. You keep full control of your assets, investments, bank accounts, real estate, you name it. But the moment a legal storm hits, our licensed, bonded, trustee company law firm steps in and protects you. And now it's out of the reach of the courts. U.S. judges don't have jurisdiction in the Cook Islands, and the trust's legal firewall kicks in exactly when you need it. No creditor, no court, no contingency fee lawyer can break through. Let me give you a real example. A surgeon in California was facing a malpractice suit. He had $3.8 million in liquid assets and multiple properties. He'd never been sued before. But one patient filed a claim and his insurance didn't cover the full amount. So fortunately, he came to us a year prior. We had already placed his liquid assets in the Cook Islands Trust, in the LLC that's in the trust to be specific. And when the plaintiff's lawyer found out, they realized they couldn't collect. That case settled for pennies on the dollar. Now, had he waited until after the claim and after the judgment, he would have been exposed. Now, here's the big important part that most people don't realize. Insurance is not enough. Insurers can deny claims. They can delay. I mean, they have lawyers too, and their lawyers are paid to protect the insurance company, not you. In fact, 63% of high net worth individuals in America don't have enough liability coverage to fully protect their assets. And umbrella policies, they cap out fast and they don't cover everything. Fraud, breach of contract, and personal liability outside of your profession often excluded. So asset protection isn't about replacing insurance. It's about building a second and stronger, mind you, legal layer of defense. Okay, so what happens if you wait? Let me be clear. If you're watching this and you're already being sued, options still exist, but they're more limited. A court could unwind certain transfers unless they're moved offshore into your trust. Creditors could argue you acted in bad faith, and if you set up a trust too late, after they've already recorded a judgment against everything that you own, or after a divorce is served, then it's too late. In contrast, if we set up your trust now, before there's a whiff of legal trouble, it becomes nearly bulletproof. Offshore trusts like the Cook Islands Trust, Belize Trust, and the Nevis Trust have short statute of limitations on fraudulent transfers and don't recognize U.S. judgments. The translation, you're safe. Okay, so you might be wondering, do I really need this? Well, here's a quick checklist. Own a business? Have more than $500,000 to over $1 million in assets? Own real estate in your own name? Are you a high-income professional? Are you in a second marriage or a blended family? Are you a landlord? If you answered yes to even one of those, you are a lawsuit target, whether you realize it or not. In fact, I've helped protect physicians, athletes, influencers, and everyday business owners. And if you have something to lose, you need a plan to keep it. Now, there's another type of legal risk that most people overlook, and that's the lifestyle lawsuit. Fancy car, fancy home, flashy Instagram account, all of that can be used against you. I had a client sued after a fender bender, and the plaintiff's lawyer pulled up his social media account, saw photos of his Ferrari, his boat, his vacations, and they used it to inflate the claim. Clearly he can pay, they argued. The lawsuit went from a $25,000 nuisance to a $500,000 demand because he looked rich. So that's why we say, don't just look successful, be legally protected. And I get it. Asset protection sounds expensive, but what's really expensive is losing your assets in court. A typical judgment in a business-related lawsuit can range from $500,000 to several $1 million, and once a judgment is entered, they can go after your bank accounts, investment accounts, sometimes your rental income, real estate, even your retirement accounts in some states. Like in California, IRAs aren't really protected because if the judge feels that you can support yourself in another way besides your IRA, they can seize your IRAs. We've seen clients wiped out because they waited. We've seen others breathe easily because they didn't. So here's what to do next. First, inventory your risk. I mean, what do you own? What's in your name? Next, separate liability from assets. LLCs, land trusts, offshore entities are tools that we use to do this. Next, establish a Cook Islands Trust and a Cook Islands LLC. Get your plan in place before the storm. And like I say, we've set up more of these than anybody in the world. And we have, I believe, over 100,000 clients that we've successfully protected. Next, work with experts. For example, my firm, Asset Protection Planners, and the Lawyers Limited Law Firm, has done more Cook Islands trusts than anybody in the world. And I've been doing this for over 30 years. It's up to you. If you're serious about this, you can feel free to visit us at assetprotectionplanners.com, schedule a free consultation if you're serious, not just curious, and we'll walk you through a custom strategy based on your assets, your goals, and your timeline. So the biggest mistake rich people make before getting sued is waiting. Don't let that be your story. The legal system doesn't reward the successful, it targets them. And if you're watching this video, chances are you've worked hard for what you have, so let's keep it that way. I'm the business guy, the CEO of the Lawyers Limited Law Firm and Asset Protection Planners. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for weekly insights, and drop a comment with your question. In fact, I read every one. And if you're serious about protecting your wealth, schedule a consultation with us at assetprotectionplanners.com, and we'll see you in the next video.